uncommonhelp.me helps you feel better.
Having an overriding obsession can, like an addiction, start to impact someone's life to the extent that they stop getting their emotional needs met in healthy ways. Now, the difference between an obsession and a compulsion is that an obsession is really what you focus on in your mind. So, for example, someone might be obsessed by the idea that their partner is cheating on them. And that might lead to the compulsion or the behavior of continually checking up on their partner's movements and checking their text messages and even following them when they go out and so forth. Okay. The obsessive idea that your house isn't clean enough or contains germs may lead to the compulsive action of constantly cleaning and over-cleaning and cleaning again. Okay. So obsession is in the mind, and compulsion is what the mind causes the person to actually do, the behavior that they engage in. Now, there's often a ritualistic or even a superstitious element to many obsessive compulsive conditions. For example, so someone may feel that in order to prevent some disaster happening, they need to circumnavigate the bed 100 times before going to bed. Okay, walk around the bed 100 times, or wash their hands 200 times before going to work in order to stop something bad happening at work and so forth. So this is an interesting thing. Obsessionality isn't just about what people think. Okay, it's about what they feel when they think certain things. It's the emotionality which is more important than just what the person is thinking. So if a person is hypochondriacal, if they are obsessed that they're becoming ill or they have symptoms of illness, grave illness, then it's not the thoughts of illness and death so much as the feelings of anxiety that we need to deal with. It's very difficult to try not to think about something. The worst advice you can give to somebody if they're obsessing is try not to think about it, okay? Because that doesn't help. I worked with a woman who was a hypochondriac once, and she would wake up in the middle of the night convinced that she had whatever illness she'd been reading about the night before. And she'd even hypnotically manifest the symptoms of this illness. Now, I encouraged her to do something. This may sound rather strange. I taught her to have the thoughts that she might have an illness whilst feeling very relaxed. Okay, so we're separating the emotion from the thinking. Okay, so anybody can think, I might have an illness. Stephen King, the horror writer, can imagine all kinds of horrific things, but without actually buying into them emotionally and actually feeling terrified by them. Okay, so we can have our imagination here and our feelings here, and we can do that with obsessions as well. Might even get someone to imagine their partner's cheating on them whilst feeling that they're actually dealing with it emotionally. So it becomes much less threatening for them. So with this particular hypochondriacal woman, she was able to imagine, she could be ill, but feel relaxed about it. And bearing in mind that she had been fully medically checked out as well. Okay, so that's really the root of dealing with obsessive-compulsive conditions, to get the person feeling relaxed, dealing with the emotion behind the obsessive behavior or compulsive behavior. And then the thinking kind of sorts itself out, rather than trying to change the thinking desperately. The other aspect is then to encourage the person to meet their emotional needs in their life in constructive ways. Okay, so interestingly enough, an obsession will often arise because the person isn't meeting their emotional needs constructively in their life. Okay, but at the same time, it will block them meeting these emotional needs. Okay, but once we sort out the emotions behind the obsession and encourage the person to meet their emotional needs constructively and healthily, then they can begin to really leave the obsessive-compulsive condition behind them and start enjoying life again.
uncommonhelp.me helps you feel better.